Welcome back to the channel. A
Mhm.
few connection issues, everyone, guess. So we substituted them out and got a new one on. Hopefully we'll get Stefan back on our time. But Owen is glad they stepped in. So big thanks to Owen for the podcast. Tonight we're going to be speaking about that big game at the weekend, Man City against Spurs. Looking at Arsenal top of the league, but why are they not seen as one of the top two favourites? And if they have a better chance in the Champions League, we'll also be looking back at United's failure. They hold on to two-goal leads
Mhm.
in Istanbul, which leaves their Champions League hopes hanging by a thread. Are they going to be able to qualify? And if they don't, does Eric Ten Hag's position become untenable? We'll also look back at the rest of them European results, where Man City and Arsenal topped their group. Liverpool, Brighton, West Ham, Villa all qualify for the next round. United, Newcastle have worked through in the last game. And obviously looking ahead to the rest of the weekend's games. So plenty to discuss. It is December, believe it or not. 6 months now of podcasts. Can't believe it. We're at their 6th month. Christmas isn't far away. How are you feeling? I suppose football-wise, but Christmas time as well. It's always a good time of the year.
It's a good time to be. It's a good time to be with family and friends and just have a bit of family time and have a bit of downtime after the madness. But in terms of football, Liverpool's doing well. We won last night, but as we say, if we don't win that game, then have no hope. So, it's very rosy and Liverpool's gearing at the minute. So long may it continue.
No, 100%. At the end of the day, you can only pick what's in front of you, and you still have a very favourable Europa League group. But what can you do? You've done the job, and you can put your feet up now in March, I believe. So we'll come back to Liverpool as the show progresses. I did mention there, it is December. It's festive. Football kicks off. But I mean, are the bells ringing at Spurs? 3 straight defeats. I don't know. I just come up with that one today. It sort of popped into my head.
It's a good one there. I like it.
But what do you think? Should the bells be ringing at Spurs, or do you think it's a time for Cam?
I mean, we keep going back to it. Look at them. Look at the amount of injuries you have at the moment. You don't have Madison. You don't have Van de Ven. You don't have Romero. Your doggies in and out of the side. And then even the game against Aston Villa last week, he still created the chances. Like probably should have been out of sight in the first half, but at the end of the day, football, you might play great, but football's a results business, and losing 3 on the bounce isn't great. And it could be 4 at the bounce come the end of Sunday. So it is worrying, but I wouldn't be.
Well,
I
I
wouldn't
did
be.
say it's a festive season. I did say it's a festive season, so maybe it's a time for miracles. And maybe we'll get a miracle on Sunday. But I mean, you do make a great point about injuries. You've named some players. I had a look at it today just to refresh my memory. We're missing, as you say, Van de Ven and Madison through injury.
As well just got injured again.
The 2 key ones. Bentancur's just come back. He's been injured for 9 months. Gets injured with a freak tackle. Well, it's a power tackle, but it wasn't anything to do with his actual injury that he had. It's just that one of them ones where it happened after a bad challenge. To me, that was a red card tackle. I don't think it's one of them ones where it's not like your normal red card one. But I mean, if you look at the Curtis Jones one, just going to use that as an example because I know you remember it well. The Matty Cash tackle is actually worse. It's actually a worse tackle because Jones is no malice on it. He's slightly late. Cash goes on. They do Bentancur. The ball's gone. He's got no chance of winning it, and he goes on. They hurt him. Maybe he didn't mean to injure him like he has, but he does have previous with Spurs. He's injured Matt Doherty for 4 months a couple of seasons ago. So I mean, do you think this kind of tackle is the kind of tackle that needs to be stamped out more as opposed to maybe slowing down sort of ones where the studs have caught somebody late, and when there's not really any malice on it?
100%. Like at the time I said, I didn't think it was that bad of a tackle, but when I look back at it, I was surprised that the referee wasn't sent to VAR to review it because we've seen just using the Curtis Jones one again. We've seen that be reviewed for less. I actually thought the Romero one against.
The point is, one is that they look at criteria, not really necessarily the challenge, don't they? They look at that position on the shell. There was no way Jones, the way he went down, was ever going to hurt Basuma. I think it was at the time, never going to hurt him.
For me, they need to stop looking at the criteria of a challenge and just look at it as is that going to hurt an opponent versus is that not going to hurt an opponent, and just decide by that. For me, I thought the Romero challenge against Chelsea was less of a red
Yeah.
card than the Matty Cash one was.
So as you say, we got a wee bit sidetracked there, but we've got Van de Ven out injured, Madison out injured, Romero suspended, Basumas was suspended, now he's back. Perisic is injured, Sesniong's injured, Solomon's injured, Richarlison's injured. There's probably more. I think I seen Sky Sports put up today. Actually, there was a full XA of players you could name,
I
including an
seen that
injured
today. I seen
goalkeeper
that today.
who doesn't actually play. But it shows you how out of a squad of 26, 27 players, I think 13 are missing. Maybe 2 are suspended and 11 injured. So got a lot of injuries, haven't they?
It's not, and it's not just Spurs. Like Newcastle have been ravaged this season as well. So it just shows. We go back to there's been the most injuries this season, more than any other season. But all them players you mentioned from Spurs, not all of them are guaranteed starters. But it just shows you need a squad, and once the squad players are out for a long period of time, like I looked at Spurs' bench against Aston Villa, and it was just per.
It was similar
Like
to the
either
Newcastle bench the other night where he couldn't really make any subs. And it's the same for Spurs. Going to
they
be a lot of youth players on the bench on Sunday. I mean, and I forgot to mention Pap
even
Sarr's also injured and will not be back this weekend. So I mean, Spurs are missing, in my opinion, their 4 best midfielders. Now Basuma, to be
I
fair, is
would
back in
agree.
suspension. But last weekend, for example, Spurs are missing their 4 best midfielders. Basuma was suspended, Bentancur come off injured, Madison's injured, and Pap Sarr's injured. So I mean, that makes it very. I mean, that's very, very unlikely to happen to any team.
Yeah.
They've one striker, and he's actually been converted on their striker, and Son. They've no one else. They play there.
Yeah.
With Richarlison injured.
It's
They've no backs available. Apart from Eric Dyer, who doesn't really fit the style of play.
yeah, and
So,
it's even like it's not even the amount of injuries you had; it's how quick they happened. It was that Chelsea game. He's lost.
this week.
Yeah, they just sort of it just sort of went like dominoes. Like Madison was injured, then Van de Ven pulled up, and Richarlison had to go get surgery. So it is a tough time for injuries at Spurs now.
Now, defeat for Spurs on Sunday would see them lose 4 straight games in the Premier League for the first time in 19 years. The last time they lost 4 Premier League games in a row was in 2004. Owen, do you think that will happen this weekend? Or can Spurs go to Man City and get a result, in your opinion, with what they have available?
I think last time I was on here, correct me if I'm wrong, I said Man City would have won 3-0. I think I'll stick to that prediction. I can't with the amount if this was like an 11v11 full fit, I wouldn't say Spurs. I wouldn't comfortably say they would win, but I would say they would get a result. But with all the injuries, I just can't see it.
There's a lot of positivity around Spurs. I mean, I listened to Jim White in Talk Sport today, and he said he was at the Villa game last week for Talk Sport. And again, even when they were beat 2-1, a lot of people were clapping Spurs off the pitch. No moaning and groaning, effing and blanking. And it's very rare a team loses 3 games and there's not much panic. I mean, they could lose on Sunday and they're heavily favourites to do so, and then it will be 4 games in a row. And again, I still think there won't be that much panic. So does this just show that despite results, that Spurs fans are more interested in the style of play, and they've also realised that with these injuries, Ange is really handicapped. He can't do much, can he, if he's got half a team missing?
No, like you seen it last season with Conte. Even when you were winning games, people were saying, "Oh, this style of football is crap. This isn't going to get us nowhere." So even though
the fans are brilliant sometimes and they're winning, it was that bad.
That's what I was saying, and it just shows a cultural change at a club can really give the fans a jolt up the arm. Like I know that from hand experience. When Klopp came in, like even though in his first 18 months there, we weren't great, but you could see his style of play, you could see where we're going, and it's sort of similar at Spurs.
A lot of fans, and rightly so, yeah, everyone's entitled to do what they want to do, are kind of laughing at Spurs and thinking, it's funny, and I get football banter, but Paul Merson's been one critic at times this season of Spurs, and
he's a twat.
Even before that Chelsea game, everyone fancied Spurs, and he was saying he fancied Chelsea, and in the end, Chelsea won, and it looked like a magic box, but in the end, there was reasons for that. Well, amen. Spurs were cruising really at 1-0, 11v11, could have been a few more. But a lot of people are kind of are enjoying the moment, I suppose. Whereas Spurs fans, maybe 4 weeks ago, were enjoying their moment. Paul Merson's actually come out this week and said, to be totally honest, even if Man City had Spurs' injuries, they would struggle. Do you think every team in this situation will be going through a similar kind of run that Spurs are? I mean, let's just compare it to Liverpool, say, because you're a Liverpool fan. If Liverpool were missing Van Dijk, Konate, they're missing Robertson at the moment, aren't they? Missing Robertson. Let's say they were missing Szoboszlai, Salah.
We're missing
I'm trying to think so let's just say they were missing a few more players, including, like, say, it was their best players, because I think some of, apart from Son, really, they're missing the rest of their best players. I think their best players is Romero, Van de Ven, Bissouma. The midfield's key, Madison, that whole midfield, plus the two centre backs, and I would throw in the goalkeepers important. The goalkeeper and the they're the two at the minute I think are the most important that we have. Might seem harsh because I think the fullbacks have done pretty well, but you think about the spine of the team. If Liverpool were missing, say, Van Dijk and Konate and Harry playing Matip and Joe Gomez at the back, they've got Shimikas playing left back. They had to bring in, say, Ben Doak for Salah because he wasn't fit. Say, do you think Liverpool would suffer as well?
Oh, 100%. It's happened to Liverpool in the past. I mean, the COVID season where we lost Van Dijk, we lost Gomez, we lost. I think we lost.
They didn't have a fit centre back, did they?
No, we had to play Fabinho in there. We had to play Henderson in there. We had Nat Phillips and Reece Williams in there. So it just shows when you lose a spine of a team, it is very difficult. And to be fair, I wouldn't say Liverpool have been lucky with injuries, but we've not had the amount of injuries of our teams. I know we've lost Jota and Alisson and Robertson at the minute, but apart from that, like, we've had near enough our first 11 all season. So I think that's why that's standing us in good stead too at the minute.
I mean, a lot of talk around this game on Sunday is, will Ange change his style with so many players missing? You're coming up against Man City away from home. They'd won 23 games in a row until Liverpool last week held them to a draw. They haven't lost there for over a year. They are the treble winning, the champions, everything in their favour. I mean, do you think Ange will go there and change? Or do you think he'll stick to his beliefs and let's just see what happens?
I mean, he didn't change when he went down to 9 men against Chelsea, so I can't see him changing when 11v11, even if it is against Man City. And
do you think that's a wise move? Do you think he should change, or do you think let's stick to what we have, what we know, and go there, and we'll have a go, and if we get beat, we get beat? What way would you go about it if you were Ange this weekend?
To me, with the amount of injuries you have, I would change it up a wee bit. I would be a bit more conservative. I wouldn't be going full throttle, because if you go 2-2 against Man City at the minute, you get ripped apart.
There's where I disagree. Not so much that we could get ripped apart. I disagree because I don't think it sends out the right message to the players. If you're missing certain players, and even if you were going through a bad period of results, do you know what? We can't take another defeat. Let's just go here, sit off, and we'll try and nick them on the counter-attack. I just don't think that sends a good message to the squad, because you're telling them 1 week you believe in them, but then the next week you don't. Yeah. So I don't think he will change. Like, I
don't think he will either, but I think he should.
He actually said in his press conference today that I'm here for the long term, and if we want to be a big club competing, we're not going to have a short-term fix. So think on his head is, how can I go back on what I've told the players? We're going to attack everybody, doesn't matter who we are, and we'll learn. We'll not lose, we'll learn type attitude. So it's a bold move. I don't see any way he will change. Now, the only thing in the game that could happen is if Man City are dominant, then Spurs are going to be pushed back, aren't they? So it's going to be an interesting one. But I think that the attitude from Ange is we go here and we're going to try and win.
Do you think like, just for argument's sake, do you think if you lose by 4, 5, 6, like, do you think that could be damaging in the long run?
I think he's got a safety net with the players missing. That realistically, even if they were to get beat 5 or 6-0, then you'll look at that and go, how many of these players will actually be here next year anyway? But I think he's trying to send a message out that this is going to be the way we're going to play. I'm not going to change for anyone. He actually famously said after the Chelsea game, with 9 men, he says we'll have a crack with 5. So that's his motto. I mean, and I think that makes it for a more intriguing game that everyone's going to look forward to because everyone's expecting goals. I mean, I've went here in the last few managers, Mourinho, Conte, and we've had some good results, home and away against Man City. But it's been a hard watch. We've been dominated from minute 1 to minute 90 and relied on counterattacks.
Yeah.
And I actually go into this game with more optimism, believe it or not, than I would have done last year with a fully fit team. And that is the difference at the minute between Ange and the previous managers.
Even though I said I think Man City will win 3-0, I wouldn't be surprised if Spurs were to get 1 or 2 goals because Man City in the last couple they were bad at the back against Leipzig and on Wednesday or Tuesday. I can't remember exactly when they played, but they were 2-0 down at a point. I know they didn't have their quote unquote best 11 on, but Man City could field 3 teams and it would beat more or less anyone. So I think there is chances there for Spurs. It's just whether they can take them because we seen on the evidence of against Aston Villa that they struggle to take their chances and they lost to Aston Villa. So if they don't take their chances against Man City, it could get ugly.
It's a good point you make about the Leipzig game because I watched parts of that game. And Leipzig, they led City 2-0 at half time. The Leipzig 2 goals they scored was terrible defending from Man City.
Yeah.
And at the minute, they are quite vulnerable on that transition, on that high press and on the counter-attack. And, we've seen it's not just a one-off because Chelsea put 4 past them in that 4-4 draw. Liverpool had chances last week at times, So as the best form of defence attack for Spurs on Sunday because, I've been reading a lot about Man City this week and before the Liverpool game, they'd won 23 games in a row. Out of the 23 games, I would imagine at least 20 of them would have sat back anyway against Man City, and they lost anyway. Yep. So if Spurs that go here on Sunday, with that, we're going to sit back, and there's a good chance they probably lose anyway. So I think it is a bit of a free hit with the players missing. And, I mean, imagine they pulled off a result. Imagine they won. All of a sudden, the attitude around the whole club changes. So I think they've got much more to... people's thinking, what if they get bit 5 or 6? I think Spurs have much more to gain on Sunday than they have to lose. Because I think if they lose, it's Man City away. They haven't lost there for over a year. They've won every game bar 1 last week. They drew. And they've got so many players missing that it's a free swing. So do you think that could be a good thing for Spurs, that the pressure really is off?
It could be, as you say, there's a lot of injuries and Man City don't lose at home that often. And as you say, they've won every game at home apart from the one last week. I'll not stop mentioning that, by the way. But they've won every game apart from the Liverpool one. So if Spurs go there and have a go, fair play to them. But if you do lose, I think the thing is, I think everyone's expecting Spurs to lose this game. So maybe that'll feed into the players. Right, everyone's expecting us to lose it. So let's go have a go and see what happens.
Because even last week, Liverpool, who are a very attacking team, they didn't really go gung-ho. They kind of played a smart, tactical game. Because I seen parts of the game last night with Lask, I was flicking and, probably not best they gave me viewing it. But from what I've seen, Liverpool were dominant. But there was a few times in the first half where Lask were on behind Liverpool and they picked the wrong pass or, bad decision making. So they played a totally different game against Lask. So I just think the difference is here that Ange will have it on his head that, Man City away or Sheffield United away, we're going to do the same thing.
It doesn't matter who we play. It's the other team have 11 players. We have 11 players, so let's have a go. But I hope for Spurs' sake, even if they do lose, I hope they don't come out of the game with any more injuries or any more suspensions because that could be bad.
Well, if they lose any more players, they're going to have to start playing the youth team. We'll move on. Arsenal last weekend, they had the top of the table. Obviously, Man City drawn against Liverpool. That position for top spot became open, and it took them to the 89th minute to get that goal against Brentford. And that sits them top of the league. They're also this week have beat Lens 6-0 in the Champions League. They secure top spot, so safely into the round of 16. But there seems to be, I wouldn't say negativity, but skepticism. A lot of pundits, media have been skeptical about Arsenal's chances of, winning the league or even possibly going far in the Champions League because of this style of play they're playing where I only won 6-0 the other night. And I would say this is more of it's more away from home. This has been happening with these kind of 1-0s where they haven't created a lot of chances. And they've still managed to win games.
Yeah.
That a lot of pundits are writing off their chances, saying it's very much Man City still to lose, and if anyone's going to top City, it's going to be Liverpool. So, I mean, do you see Arsenal as third favourites?
Well, at the minute, like the table doesn't like the minute they're top, like they're the best team in the league going by the table. But like for me, I'm not writing them off, but I do think if anyone's going to win the league or the Man City, it will be us. And I'm not just being biased to that. I just think I don't know. There's something about Arsenal. I just don't think they'll last it out. I I would be more confident if I was an Arsenal fan in the Champions League than I would be in the league.
Do you think that this new style of play, where last year they were kind of blowing teams away, and even games they won, they were conceding a few goals, but still scoring more than the opposition?
Yeah,
I think that's discredited in their chances a bit. That a lot of people are thinking they're boring, they're not great to watch, and it
yeah,
looks like hard work. But on the flip side, Arsenal fans are arguing that they lost the league last year being too open. So I
yeah.
mean, it's a hard one to weigh up. But I mean, Arsenal fans seem to be very happy with how they're playing, as opposed to like I heard Jamie Carragher the other night. He was saying that Arsenal won't win the league playing like this. So I mean, where do you stand on it?
I don't think they won the league this season playing like the way they are. But as you say, Arsenal fans like they opened up a lot in games last season, and in a way that cost them the league. Like if I remember right, didn't they lose to they drew with Southampton?
Southampton, they drew with Southampton.
They drew with Southampton. They lost to Brentford. I know that was a bit controversial. And then they drew with Liverpool when they were 2-0 up. So playing the attacking 3-4 football has cost them last season. But I just think the way they're playing in the league at the minute, I think it will be their downfall because even if they do play like that against just say Liverpool now coming up in the 23rd, I think we'll blow them away. I do. I genuinely do. If they go to Anfield and play defensive, I just think our attack will be too much for them.
Now, as I said, the likes of Jamie Carragher has been saying that he thinks Man City will still win it. Liverpool second, and if it's not City winning, it'll be Liverpool. I mean, why do you think the media and pundits are thinking this? I mean, is it because of the old rivalry? Is it because they want this narrative of an hour Man City Liverpool title race? It was more exciting when it was Man City Liverpool, and it
Yeah.
was Man City Arsenal last year. Is there a bit of sort of hope behind this more than they actually, are they writing Arsenal off because this is what they want to see, or do you think they're writing Arsenal off on merit?
I don't know. I think it could be doing with the Liverpool Man City rivalry over the years. Like for the past 5, 6, maybe 7 years, it's been Liverpool Man City. They've popped us to 3 Premier Leagues, I think, wasn't it? I think they've popped us to 3, 2 maybe. And then obviously they had the
Well,
years
three,
ago.
three if you count back to the Brenton Rodgers year, but that's going back a bit, doesn't it? That's going back
Yeah.
maybe 10 years now.
So in the past 5, 6 years, they've they've popped us by a point each time. We've went 2-2. Like I think that's what it is. Like I think going into the final days with Man City, Liverpool have been the team who are going to capitalise more because we've been there. But Arsenal sort of had a collapse last season near the business end of the season. So I think maybe that could play a part in there too, where it's just been shown that Liverpool can keep up with Man City throughout the season. So maybe it is that. Maybe it's just punditry favouring a certain team. You never know. But I'm not discrediting Arsenal. I think they will be up there at the end of the season. Like I think they will finish third. But I think if anyone's going to win the league outside Man City, it will be Liverpool.
I mean, have you heard of a pie chart? Do you know what a pie chart is?
I've heard of a bad yard there.
Right. I'm going to get you to do a pie chart for me here, right? I'm going to give you three options. You've got
Yes.
Man City, you've got Liverpool, and you've got Arsenal. And I want you to divide that into between 100% of probability of winning the league.
Yep.
So, percentage for Man City.
97.
97% chance.
Yes.
So you think what, Liverpool 2 and Arsenal 1?
I think Man City are too strong. I do. I just think Man City are too strong. I think they've shown over the past. I know they're not playing at their 100% best, but
Is that what you're worried about at the moment? That City aren't playing that well, and yet the other teams are still right beside them. That City
Yeah.
haven't really. If City, do you worry that if City hit the acceleration button, they're just going to be they're going to run away with it?
that's what it's just going. It's just being on based on the past 3, 4, 5 seasons. If we had went to Man City last week and won, I would have been saying Liverpool are winning the league. Like, I would have. But
I do agree with you because I think for over this next month, unless Liverpool or Arsenal have a perfect month and City drop a few points, I just don't see how going on recent evidence over the last few years. Man City had the turbo injection come January, and they tend to go on this crazy winning streak. I mean, Liverpool at the minute, after 13 games, have 28 points. So when I was thinking about this today, 28 times 3 is 84, I believe. 84 points. And that's actually if you count 39 games. So if you go over 84 points at the minute, and it hasn't been for a long time. It hasn't been good enough they won a league. So it suggests that Liverpool's form over these 13 games, whilst it's been good, it won't be good enough they won a league. And I think a lot of Liverpool fans have rightly said we've only lost one game. But as Man United are showing this year, it's better to win and lose than if you can win and if you lose a game but won the rest of them type of thing. Draws they soon add up, and I mean it's better to say, what's the word? What am I looking for? Say if you already won 4 games and draw 4 and lose none or 8, you're better winning 6 and losing 2. So I think that's where, and Arsenal have they've only lost 1 game as well.
That's been the problem with Liverpool over the years. Like we've been winning, and we I think over the last, apart from last year, we haven't lost that many last few seasons, but it's the draws that have cost us. Like I remember the season. I remember when John Stones cleared it off the line. They beat us 2-1.
Liverpool only lose 2 games that year.
I think we lost in Man City. I can't remember who the other team was, but I remember that season we drew with Leicester, we drew with Southampton, we drew with, I think it was Bournemouth. Like we draw with, and you've already seen it this season. We've drew with Luton away. We've drew with
Brighton away.
Brighton away. So if you want to be winning the league, you have to be winning them games.
So it'll be interesting to see how the table's shaping up. Interestingly, as I said, it wasn't just Liverpool looked at. Arsenal last season, after 19 games, had 50 points. Even if Arsenal if they won their next 6 games, they'll fall 2 points short of that 50-point total.
It's mad,
which is unlikely. They're going to win their next 6 as well. There's bound to on current form, you'd imagine drop points. So it does suggest, Owen, that the league, whilst everyone's enjoying it, and I think this is important that everyone's enjoying it because no one wants to see a team run away with it, does suggest that the league's become more competitive this year. Whether that's because the standards dropped from them crazy years of Man City, Liverpool, or because the teams around us have got better. You could argue that. And whilst me and you've said the likes of Liverpool are better this season, Spurs are better this season, you could argue that Newcastle have got weaker, United have got weaker, so they've dropped down.
Yeah,
Brighton have got weaker, judging by their results. So
it looks like Brighton are putting all their eggs in the Europa basket, to be honest.
Exactly. So I do think every year you do have this where some teams improve and some teams get worse. That's just the balance of play. The only thing I would say about that, as I said, about the points tallies is you would expect Man City. They had some sort of level at some stage.
Yeah.
If that wasn't to be the case and they were to sort of stay around what they are now, they would have said they would have finished around 80, 85, 86 points.
Yeah.
I do think if they are like this all season, it gives Arsenal and Liverpool a major chance of winning it. Because I don't think, and as much as I don't say this to wind you up or Liverpool or Arsenal fans, I don't think this Liverpool or Arsenal team have got a 95 point season in them this year. I just don't see that. I think for them to want it, they need City to be 10 points short of that 95. They're usually in and around that. They won it with 90 last year, but they had the League One with 3 games to go. And then the last 2 games, they played their B teams, and they ended up only taking 1 point from their last 2 games. So I think if they hadn't pushed to the wire, they possibly could have got 90, 95.
Yeah.
They got 94 the year before. They've won it before. So it's pretty staggering points tallies they put up, which makes it very difficult for anyone else. But I think if someone was to say to me this season, look on their crystal ball and says to me, right, I've seen it. I don't know what team it is, but a team has won it with 86 points. I would say, well, it could be any one of the 3 of them. If somebody said to me a team has won it with 96 points, I would say, well, it has to be Man City. And I think that's where we're at.
That's how much it's changed over the years, because you're looking at it like 10, 15 years ago. 86 points would have won your league easy. So it's mad how they're standing. Like you take Man City out of that league. Liverpool have another few titles. United have another few titles. Arsenal have won last season. Spurs probably could have won. It's mental. Like.
Before we touch on United, do you think you sort of alluded this? Do you see Arsenal as more of a threat in the Champions League, and how far do you think they could go?
I do see them as a threat in the Champions League. I think the only teams that are better than Arsenal in the Champions League for me is Real Madrid and Man City. I think they give Bayern a game. Like apart from Man City and Real Madrid, I don't think Arsenal have anyone to fear.
Do you think it's a weak Champions League this season?
For me it is. If I was to put my hat on it, I think I said Bayern Munich at the start of the season, but
let's just say Liverpool, Ronald. Would you be thinking we can definitely make a final?
Definitely.
Now a team that may not be in the Champions League come 2 weeks time is Man United. They threw away a 2-0 lead and a 3-1 lead in Istanbul. Straight away, and I mean, United, to be fair, I don't think they're a great watch, but I'll tell you what, in the Champions League, they threw up some great games. 4-3 against Bayern Munich, 4-3 against Copenhagen, 3-3 against Galatasaray, 3-2 against Galatasaray.
I think they've scored, I don't know if I'm getting this right, but they've scored 9 and conceded 14, is it?
I think they got 3 against Bayern, 2 against Galatasaray, 1 against Copenhagen, 6-3 against Copenhagen, 9 and 3, 12.
12. So it's
conceded 14. Only one team has conceded more goals. That's Antwerp with 15. So it's funny because in the league, a lot of their games have been like 1-0s.
You would have to say in the Champions League too. I would say half of them goals conceded are because of the keeper.
We'll come on to that, but I mean, it's funny because, as I say, in the Premier League, they've been very dull, and the games they've been playing in like 1-0s. Luton 1-0. Burnley 1-0, Sheffield United 2-1, Brentford 2-1, all these scripting over the line, Fulham 1-0. Been very, very low scoring and dull games. Yeah. Flip that into the Champions League, it's been the total opposite. I mean, why do you think they're conceding so many goals in the Champions League? And I mean, they seem to be, it's similar as well. I know they scored 3 against Everton, but before that they were struggling to score goals in the Premier League. Where it's not just the goals gone in have changed, actually the goals for, they've been scoring more in the Champions League, so it's been like 2 different teams.
It's a tough one. I don't know if they feel like they can be more expansive in the Champions League and open up more, but it shows if that is their mindset. Like it looks like in their Champions League games, like it's end to end. It looks like any team at any time can score. Obviously, I didn't see the Galatasaray game because I was out at the time, but I watched the highlights and I don't know. You watched it.
A basketball match.
I was just going to come on that. It looked like you score, I score. So it's a weird one, as you say, because in the Premier League they're very passive and they're very. It's a dull watch, as you say. So I don't know what it is. Maybe, as I was saying, maybe they just feel like they can open up more in Europe and they can attack teams more. But I don't know. They should have finished second in that Champions League group easy.
I think the more concerning aspect of it is conceding all these goals against Galatasaray and Copenhagen, who aren't really renowned for
the Bayern one. The Bayern one you can forgive, but the other two, it's just shocking.
I mean, one man who's come under serious pressure this week is Onana. A lot of mistakes. I mean, and they make 3 in the one game. It was pretty crazy. I mean, he makes a million of the 2 free kicks, and he's been at his near post for the third one. I mean,
the one where he threw it and done it. Like, I just what was going through his head? Was he on his wife? Was he on his wife's doping pills again or something?
I mean, this is a goalkeeper who came here with a massive reputation. He was played in the Champions League final last year, and I didn't see him. I don't watch a lot of Serie A football, but I watched a lot of the Champions League last year, and didn't see him making them kind of mistakes. So, I mean, do you think? Obviously, he has to take some of the blame, but do you think that playing in front of a disorganized team, obviously defense, but just the actual midfield as well, are wide open at times? Do you think that's added the pressure and added to the mistakes that he's made?
It could do, and obviously going from Inter Milan are a big club, but there's no one in England bigger than Man United, which pains me to say, obviously, but they are the biggest team in the country, so that adds a big pressure on its own. And you've seen with United goalkeepers in the past, De Gea didn't start off great, and he's probably one of their greatest goalkeepers. And but before my time, but Fabian Barthez too was a well-renowned keeper before he moved to United, and he struggled. So it seems to be a problem with United goalkeepers, but the mistakes he's making it's just schoolboy stuff. It's just schoolboy
There's a
stuff.
growing there's a growing part of the Man United fan base that
I
are
want to,
chanting for De Gea back. Do you see that happening?
nah, to me, I think that was a weird situation. I think they made him a contract offer, then they pulled it away. I think, didn't they? So I think there was
I
a.
don't see it happening under Ten Hag.
I
But
think
the
that.
argument is, if United go out in 2 weeks' time, does his position become untenable? If they don't progress out of this group, and let's just say they lose to Bayern Munich, how can he get away with having 4 points in a Champions League group with Galatasaray and Copenhagen?
I mean, it's unforgivable for a team like United. They're not pulling up any trees, but when I saw the groups being made, I was like, right, United. I just said Bayern and United will win that group easily. Like both of them will go through, but it's just that, and even when they did beat Copenhagen, they needed a penalty save from Onana. So even the game that they did win in the group, they weren't convincing in that. So they're very lucky to even have a chance going into the Bayern game. But it's just, I don't know. Like I said that to you a couple of weeks ago. Like all the results they were getting in the league, all the ones they were getting, and bang, one bad result, and it's we're well, it's all over the place again. So they're just, I don't know. And if, as you say, if they don't get through, does his position become untenable? I don't know, because they're
Well, I
close.
mean, if
They're
you look
close
at the
to the
games
top
coming
four.
up,
So
if you look at the games coming
yeah,
up, they might not be as close to the top four as they are now. Come, say, the 17th of December, because they've got
Newcastle tomorrow.
Newcastle away this weekend. They've got Chelsea at home. All right, they've got Bournemouth at home after that. Then they've got Bayern Munich at home in the Champions League, which is a must-win game.
And
And
Liverpool.
that might not even be enough if they won the game, depending on the result in the other game. And then they've got Liverpool away. Um, will he be the manager, do you think? I mean, first of all, do you think they'll beat Bayern Munich?
I've said all week no, so I'm going to stick with
Did you
that.
see Bayern Munich's performance against Copenhagen when they've nothing to play
I,
for? It's a completely different Bayern Munich team.
I've seen it, but I just think Copenhagen too, to be fair to them, played well defensively, and I think because United need a result, I think United will open up more, and that'll give Bayern more chances, and I think Bayern will finish them off. But I
Mm.
think I think if he has a bad run now between now to the Liverpool game, I think he could be in big trouble after the Liverpool game, depending on one, if we win, and two, how bad we beat them by.
No, it's not just you think it'll be a bitten.
I do. Yeah, there's nothing in me that thinks United. I'm not going to say we're going to go beat them 7-0 again, although I would. Oh, yeah, I would love that. But I do think it'll be a comfortable one now, especially at home.
Despite all this negativity, they are the current league informed team with 5 wins in their last 6 games. And there's 2 things to take out of that. As one, as we flip with Spurs, that United fans aren't happy with the state of play, yet they've won 5 and 6, and Spurs could lose 4 in a row, and their fans haven't blinked. And the other thing as well is, if United are the informed team in the league, it does tell you something about the teams at the top aren't pulling up any trees, are they? Despite looking good in certain times. Liverpool, Arsenal, and Man City, and even Spurs, they at times when they were going well, they were all playing decent, and they had games where they were better. No, but there were no consistency there, was there? We haven't seen a team string together 6 or 7 straight ones yet and blow teams out of the water. There's been games where they've looked good, but then they haven't followed that up. So, I mean, if United are the informed team in the league, it doesn't say much about the rest, does it?
Nah, but as you say, as it says there, should all our clubs be worried about under? I generally don't think so, because it's just, as I've said before, they'll just take a bad. I think now, because of this
The
bad
only thing
result.
is, if they were to go to Newcastle and Chelsea and won them games, all of a sudden then there is a different narrative, because they'd have won 7 and 8, having beat some good teams. Now, only thing I would say is they don't travel well when it comes to playing big teams. So the odds to me, even though Newcastle are down to bare bones, there's a big mentality block. If United can perform in these type of games, and that'll be interesting to see on Saturday.
I was just going to come on that because I actually was listening to a United fan on, I think it was Talksport. It was saying like once United go 1-0 down, then it's game over because they don't have they don't have the mentality. They once like some of them players once they go 1-0 down, it's just like right, we've lost, and then it goes. You seen it last season: 7 against Liverpool, 6 against Man City, 4 against.
Well, even the Champions League this year, they've been throwing away 2-goal leads. So what's the solution?
That's, I don't know. As it the manager, but even with Ten Hag, you see him falling out with players. It doesn't seem to like Varane, which is mad to me because he's playing Maguire and Lindelof. And
Stefan, sorry, don't worry about it, Stefan. We'll get you on again.
What
you saying on there?
Like I was saying, how can you fall out with Varane? How can you like? I actually seen today that Harry Maguire's up for Player of the Month, which is what? How has that become a thing? And I did see, to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if he wins it just because funny. But like,
let's look back on the rest of these European results. As you said, Man City and Arsenal are through as group winners. How far can they go? Who do you think will win the Champions League?
I'm going to stick with not my original prediction at the start of the season, but I think I said then I'm going to go with Real Madrid.
And who are you going to beat in the final?
Man City. I think Man City will get the final again.
What do you think Arsenal will finish in the Champions League?
Semis. I think it'll be. I'm predicting a Man City Arsenal semi-final. I would love to see it.
Will be interesting, wouldn't it? Could it win a cat in my spot?
Although for you, if Arsenal won the Champions League, I think you might have to delete your social media.
I'll have to delete Stefan off my friends list.
What are you going to do if Liverpool won the league?
Stefan, Arsenal's making the semi-finals. I agree. I think they could make the semi-finals.
Yeah. If Liverpool won the league, like you may as well just block me off everything.
I think pains me to say it, but I think Arsenal could definitely do something in the Champions League.
Oh no!
I actually could see Arsenal win the Champions League before the Premier League. I just think it'd be a tough draw for anyone over 2 games now because there's a different mentality with Arsenal, and they've shown. I think with Declan Rice, they've got a fantastic player that can lead. It'll be very interesting to see how they play at Anfield in a few weeks' time.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that game, especially as well because we'll be all there for it, and I'll probably have a few drinks on me. So even if we lose, I'll be like happy days. But no, I was going to say about Arsenal in the Champions League, like they sort of have that thing about Liverpool about them. Like nobody wants to draw Liverpool at Anfield on a Champions League night. I would fancy us against anyone apart from Real Madrid. I never want to play them again. Yep, exactly.
And he'd only be feared of Man City or Real Madrid.
I agree.
I think that's it as well. I think Owen pointed out that he thinks the winner will come probably out of one of them 3. He thinks if Arsenal were to stay Man City, were to draw Real Madrid in the semis, and Arsenal were to draw Bayern Munich, do you think Arsenal would make the final?
I do. I don't see Bayern Munich doing much. Like even if they won, they've won the group. Like so. But it was an easy group. But I can't see them doing it.
Wouldn't it be great though if Arsenal did draw Bayern Munich and Harry Kane scored the winner at the Emirates? Oh, that would be fantastic, wouldn't
it? For you, it would. No. For I don't think Arsenal have ever won the Champions League, have they?
No, they haven't won the Champions League. No. Bayern are really poor defensively. Yep, I agree.
I think last time Arsenal won the final was Barcelona 2006.
They might not even win the German league because Xabi Alonso's got Bayer Leverkusen flying. I mean, penny for Harry Kane's thoughts if they don't win anything this year. That would be crazy, wouldn't it?
That would get memed up. So, and I think I sent it to you that apparently Xabi Alonso has a gentleman's agreement with his 3 clubs. If one of them lose their manager, he can come in.
Do you think Alonso will be the next Liverpool manager after Klopp?
It depends on if he goes to Real Madrid. I definitely think Real Madrid have him lined up after Angelotti.
I heard they're lining up the Zerbery too, aren't they?
Seen that? I don't know, but I think that might be a bit of a big step. But hey, if Alonso came in there,
Leverkusen are no great shakes, so I wouldn't be saying that would be a. Well, I'll tell you what, there's nothing that can prepare you for the Real Madrid job, in my opinion. No job.
I think if if Xabi Alonso came on the Liverpool and played the way he's playing now, yeah, I'd love it. Like, and when Alonso left Liverpool for Real Madrid, it broke my heart. He was one of my favorite players.
Stefan saying that it would be the most Spursy thing ever if Kane that went to Bayern and didn't win anything. And imagine I actually think he could break that record. And if he doesn't win
Yeah,
that Bundesliga, there's something seriously wrong. I mean, he could break. I think he could break Lewandowski's record.
He may as well.
If he just keep doing what they're doing, it's going to be difficult. Let's move on because
even if he doesn't win the Bundesliga, I think he has a good chance of winning the Euros, man. So he might win something at the end of the season.
The problem in England is they've been there and they've fallen through the trap door a few times. Newcastle and Man United have to win their final game and results they go their way to qualify for the last 16. How likely? I mean, we'll start Newcastle have to win and hope PSG don't win away to Dortmund. I mean, do you think Newcastle have a better chance of going through than United? Because it's, they only need, PSG not to win. And if they beat Milan at home, which they'll be favoured to do so, how do you see that happen? How do you see that going in a couple of weeks' time?
I don't think Newcastle will qualify. I think even though Dortmund are at home, I think PSG will just have enough. But if you were to ask,
you think Newcastle will win their game, but you think the PSG will win theirs?
I do, yeah. But if you ask me who I think will qualify out of Newcastle and United, I think it will be Newcastle. But I don't know if you've seen my Facebook post, but I was absolutely fuming after that Newcastle game. Holy the hell! Don't get me started.
I think that might be the straw that broke a camel's back in terms of handballs. I think they're good. They're going to change that now because it was a ridiculous decision.
The Fulham Wolves game too. That was bad as well. He definitely.
They might break a record, but the Thomas Tuchel effect might lose Bayern in the league. That'll be interesting. Bayern Leverkusen going to keep doing what they're doing because Bayern Munich aren't going to go away. I mean, we spoke about it there. We United as well. They need to win their game and hope for a draw in the hour game, and that seems a lot more unlikely because first of all, they beat Bayern Munich, who've been strong in the group, and also they need a draw in the hour game. So I mean, there's two outcomes there in that hour game that will not be any good to United. So I mean, do you expect any of these two to go through, or do you think they're very much going to be going to Europa League?
I think Newcastle will be going to Europa League. I don't think United will.
You think United will finish bottom?
I think United. Well, I think my prediction is I think United will lose and then Galatasaray will be Copenhagen. So I think United will be bottom. I think Newcastle will drop into the Europa.
He's saying the PSG should have scored 5 goals against them. Yeah, they should have done really. But Newcastle were down to the bare bones. I'm not sure what much else they could have done. They were absolutely shattered, and the only youth players on the bench to try and change it. So very difficult. I mean, let's move on. Liverpool, Brighton, and West Ham all advanced to the Europa League knockout stages. Liverpool are through as group winners. Brighton and West Ham have an opportunity. It's in their own hands. If Brighton beat Marseille, they will top the group. If Marseille draw that game or win, they will top the group. West Ham, they only need a draw at home to Freiburg. Freiburg would have to beat them to top the group. So I think there's good chances there that Liverpool, Brighton, and West Ham could all go through as group winners. Villa have also qualified for the European Conference League knockout stages, and they need a point or something like that. It's in their hands as well. They finish top of the group, so could be very, very strong for the English teams in the Europa League, especially going into the knockout stages. I mean, if Newcastle drop under that, let's just say Newcastle and United drop on, do you think that makes it a stronger competition?
They'll definitely be stronger, but I'm already expecting Liverpool to be lifting it at the end of the season. I don't see my biggest worry in that competition Bayer Leverkusen.
So Europa League winner, you see Real Madrid Champions League winners, Europa League winners.
I'm going to go with Liverpool.
And Conference League winners.
Yes, Aston Villa, because I don't know any other teams on it, to be fair.
I think Liverpool will win the Europa League. The only person they can see stopping them is Joe Gomez.
Oh, come on. No, not having that.
Let's finish off looking at the weekend's games. No 12:30 game this weekend as Man United played away in Europe on Wednesday night, so that game has been moved to 8
that's a
o'clock.
surprise. No half 12. No Liverpool not playing. No, that's funny.
Well, Liverpool don't play in the Champions League, so you don't have that problem, do you?
we have a half 12 next Saturday for
Who's playing next week?
away to Palace, I think.
Oh, that's right there. So it is half 12 kickoff. Sure, Liverpool have done well at half 12 this season, haven't they? The table toppers, Arsenal, take on Wolves, who, I mean, we talk about Spurs luckless with injuries. I mean, Wolves have been luckless with decisions. I mean, another couple of decisions go against them on Monday night. And I think Arnie's right that, if Wolves keep suffering these kind of results because of the referee, he's going to, in the end, take the brunt of it, not the referee. So, I mean, you have to feel that Wolves' luck is going to turn soon, but I'm not sure it'll be tomorrow.
Nah, I can't remember what I said on Monday when I was on, but I'm going to go 2-0 Arsenal.
2-0 Arsenal. I think Arsenal again will be too strong, and I think they'll win this 2-0 as well. Brentford take on Luton. Brentford, a very strong home side. Luton, on the other hand, have battled well this year, despite a lot of people thinking they were gone before a ball was kicked. They've done okay. And they seem to be learning as the weeks go on, how to get results in this league. So, I mean, how do you see this game going?
I'm gonna go for a 1-1 draw. I think Luton might get a point.
1-1 draw. Wolves are their best team of failures. I think Lamina's missing, and I think João Gomez is missing. So again, their luck continues, and bad luck continues. It's going to be a hiding. Well, I don't know. Arsenal might just get a few goals in that a bit, but I don't know if it'll be a hiding. I think Arsenal won it pretty comfortably, but 2-0. We says, don't we? Misha's 1-1 for this game. I think Brentford will be too strong. 2-0 Brentford as well. What were you going to say there? Sorry, before I interrupted.
No, I was going to say, do you think the Luton form has anything to do with Everton's situation at the moment? Do you think that's sort of pushed them on to sort of get a few points?
Well, I think they've been I just think they've got better. Sometimes when teams come up, they can take a wee bit of time to adjust and learn. As you seen, kind of like Brighton in the Europa League, didn't they? They only have 1 point after 2 games. First time in Europe, they've learned as the games are done. I think Luton are learning as the games go on every week.
Yeah. I was going to mention Everton appealed their points deduction today. How do you see that going? I don't know.
I don't think they'll have much luck with it. We'll come on to Everton in just a second. Burnley take on Sheffield United in the final 3 o'clock game. Big game at the bottom. You have to feel that the loser of this game is gone. And I think the manager could go. I think the managers. This is like a classic El Sacco. As much as Burnley want to stick with company, I just don't think they can keep losing. But it remains to be seen. Sheffield United on the other hand as well. They need results as well. There's been a lot of talk about Heckenbottom being sacked before. Hard game to call one because Burnley have been shocking at home. They haven't got a point yet. Sheffield United haven't. I think they've got 1 point away from home, and that was against a 10-man Brighton. So not much to go on here.
No, I'm gonna go 0-0. I don't think it'll be.
I didn't unlock Pandora's box, Ross Barkley.
I don't know.
You think 3-1 to Sheffield? No, I think Burnley have to pick up a result at home here. So I think they're going to win this 2-1. They were very lucky last week. They were cruising against West Ham and threw it away in the last 5 minutes.
Were they 2-0 up or 1?
No, 1-0 up and lost 2-1.
5:30.
5:30. Live game on Sky. Nottingham Forest against Everton. Big game at the bottom. Forest now crazy this week. I've seen that Steve Cooper's under a bit of pressure because the Nottingham Forest owner is not just content with playing or being stiff. He wants to progress up the league, and he's not been happy with results. But Forest fans have backed Cooper. I read that Crystal Palace are waiting on the wings should Forest sack Cooper because they're big fans of him. Everton would have been a point above Forest before that points deduction, and there's actually 9 points between these two in the table. So you'd have to think if Forest were to win this, I think then Everton can stop looking at Forest as a rival. I think they're too far ahead on. if Everton were to beat Forest, the gap goes to 6 points, and that drags Forest under it. So big game at the bottom one. Before you give me your prediction, what do you think of this talk about Cooper being under pressure?
It's a weird one because you seen last well, not last summer, but the summer before, when they came up, they spent all that money and they just about survived. And I think he's a good coach, but I don't think he's a great coach. But who could they get?
He was. I seen he was one of the names linked with possibly going to Liverpool after Klopp, but I'm not sure he'd be.
No, he was
because he was Liverpool before, wasn't he?
It was Liverpool's under 18 coach or something. I think if he came to Liverpool after Klopp, I think I would just jump off a bridge or something. Like no, that would be bad. But no, I think like if Forest were to sack him, like who would they get to replace him? Because they're not going to get a top coach like.
Well, I read that one of the reasons he's been left on there is because they don't really see a replacement at the moment. Leaks aren't good.
I think I don't think Forest are any bar of going down for me, so I think they should just stick with
him. Everton are good. He reckons Everton are good. They'll be safe, even with a point. Well, that everyone says that, and I do agree. They're better than the teams below them, and some of them are above them. But you have to get points. It's all right and well and saying we create all these chances the Spurs have been doing, but if you're not winning games, pressure comes on. Bring back Roy Hodgson. Maybe you might go to Forest if Palace.
No. Do not bring back Roy Hodgson.
I think this is Roy's last hurrah. I mean, if he keeps Palace up this year, he should just walk away because it looks like it's taking its toll on him.
What age? He must be. Is he in his 80s?
76.
He needs to have his. He should have his feet up. A wee cup of tea, just.
That man will be able to have all his painting.
I think maybe he just wants away from the wife, but I'm going to go. I think for this game, I'll go 2-1 Forest. I think Forest might make it because
2-1 Forest as well. Saturday 8:00 game. I always enjoy these 8:00 games because I'd rather watch a game at 8 than 12:30. So it's good for the fans that watch on TV. Maybe not so much for the United fans having to travel to the northeast. They're going to have a lit night getting back on Saturday. So I mean, big game. Sorry.
I was going to say I've gone back and forth in this game. I've said draw. I've said Newcastle one. I don't know what.
Well, United haven't turned up away from home against any of these type of teams over the last year and a half. So they've got it all against them in that way. But they'll never get a better time to go to Newcastle. People will say there's not a good time to go to Newcastle at the moment, but with the players they're missing, this is possibly as weak as a team they'll field against the United. Yeah. So I mean, opportunities there. Are United good enough and capable enough of going there and doing it?
I mean, they fielded a weak team against them in the League Cup, and United were at home and they smashed them. So I think for me, I keep saying draw or one, but I'm gonna go win Newcastle one. I'm gonna go 2-1 Newcastle.
I think I'd be more comfortable in that. I'm gonna go 3-1 Newcastle. Sunday, Bournemouth against Villa. There's a whole pile of games on Sunday because of the European midweek action. Bournemouth against Villa. Villa, brilliant at home. Not so good away from home. Well, they did win Spurs last week, but they didn't really impress anyone.
No.
And that, I think on a different day they could have been 3 or 4 down in the first half hour and the game's over.
Yeah.
They ride their luck and they take their chances in the second half. Bournemouth have turned the corner. They've got good results in a row. And there's a lot of talk about the manager being under pressure, but they seem to have kick-started on the gear. So I think this is a tricky game for Villa. Hard to call this game. I'm going back and forth on it. From what I've seen of Villa away from home, I'm not convinced.
I think I'm going to go 2-1 Villa. I think it'll be a type of 1-1 game, and then I think Villa might win it in the last five or so minutes. So 2-1 Villa for me.
I've gone for a 1-1 draw in this game.
I would, to be fair, I'd take a draw. Like we go and beat Fulham. Happy days.
Chelsea against Brighton, 2:00. A lot of familiar faces lining up here against each other. Chelsea have been shopping at Brighton for the last few years.
You may as well have
Brighton with all their
discount at this point.
Brighton with all their injury concerns. I
Aye.
think this will be the most Chelsea thing at the moment for Brighton to go every half a team and beat them. Whether or not it happens or not, it's another thing.
Aye.
But Brighton have had a good record against Chelsea recently. And, after that result last week, that hammering by Newcastle, the pressure is back on Pochettino. So he really needs to get 3 points here.
He does, but I don't think he will. I'm gonna go 2-2.
3-2. I watched Brighton on our last year, yesterday at half, I think it was 46, and they weren't great against Athens. They were very fortunate they won that game. More injuries again, and I think Chelsea had them at the right time. I think Chelsea beat them 3-1. Liverpool against Fulham at 2 o'clock. Depending on what happens in the Arsenal game, Liverpool could be going back to the top of the table here, but we don't see that happening. So, is this weekend for Liverpool all about just making sure they don't lose any more ground, just stay in there?
I just make sure we beat Fulham, and as I say, I think I seen the stat last night. We've won our last 10 home games, so I can't see Fulham getting anything. I'm going to go 3-0 Liverpool.
I think there might be a shock here, I think Fulham have been pretty poor this season. Very fortunate to beat Wolves the other night, and I think they'll be brought back down to earth here. I think Liverpool probably won this very, very comfortably, 3-0 Liverpool. The live
Nunez for that.
Nunez might sell up a couple. I don't know about him for. West Ham against Crystal Palace is the live game at 2 o'clock. London Derby doesn't appetize you this game because both teams are quite defensive. West Ham just played on Thursday night too, and they struggled, didn't they? They just about go over the line. We lit one away to that crowd. Can't even know who they are.
Would you say it's a must-win for Palace though?
Must-win.
They could get dragged into the relegation battle if they're not careful.
I think they'll be dragged in it anyway because I don't think they're great. And when Yassi out injured again, they haven't got a lot of talent. I think they're going to rely on the league to drag them through.
He injured again.
So hard one to call. I just think Palace maybe can keep West Ham for shit enough to get a draw. So I'm going to go for a 1-1.
I agree with you. I'm also going to go for a 1-1.
I don't think it'll be a great watch.
No.
And finally, Man City take on Spurs. It's going to be interesting, as we spoke about at the top of the show, how Spurs go about their business. Owen, have any reasons to be positive about this game on Sunday?
I mean, performance-wise, maybe, but I'm sticking with me 3-0 Man City.
Call off all bets because I think Spurs might get a result on Sunday, as I said at the start of the week.
You said 2-2.
I just have an inkling that with the pressure off, we're going to need a wee bit of luck, no doubt about that. But I'm going to back Spurs to do what Liverpool did last week unless they get a draw. 2-2.
Do you think if Spurs did get a draw, Guardiola would be concerned because that would be 3 draws in a row then?
Don't know. Depends what if Arsenal would they be 3 points by an Arsenal, wouldn't they? But again, that's not a lot because they chased them down last year with 6 or 7 behind. So no, I think he'll not panic unless they're in January and they're not hitting form, and he comes out of January and they're in February and they're sitting 9 points off, for example. I think then the panic, but no, I think City you'll be hard pressed to see Guardiola panic in the next few weeks.
I just can't wait for the day that we hear Pep's leaving Man City because I can't stand the man.
I think, in all fairness, the neutrals, and that'll be a fun watch on Sunday.
Definitely.
Today's Spurs game, I think people will enjoy it because I think there'll be goals.
Although I'm not really a neutral. I would prefer a draw if I was to pick a result.
Or a Spurs one, probably.
See, to be honest, my motto now is anyone they won the league but Man City. That's my dream.
So when that brings us to the end of the show, plenty of football coming up. We've got the Premier League and midweek action this week. Amazon playing the games over Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday night. And then we're back on at the weekend again. Then we've got the Champions League, Europa League final round games. Then we've got the Liverpool United weekend. Then we've got the Carabao Cup quarterfinals. Then we've got the 23rd for our day out. All the boys are out for Spurs, Everton, Liverpool, Arsenal. Then we got Boxing Day and the New Year's fixture. So a lot coming up. You looking forward to it?
I've said many times since I've been on here, it's my favorite time of the year to be a football fan because it's just non-stop. So this is the part of the season where you definitely see a gap in the table. So I wouldn't be surprised if one of the three teams start to pull a gap on one of them, but we'll see about that.
Will be interesting one. Right, that brings us to the end. So I want to thank Owen for his time on. A few comments there from Stefan as well. Do you know what? I think a lot of people are out in the 12 pubs tonight too. We haven't got as many watching tonight. That time, I think over December, you'll see a lot of people going to the pub. I think sure you're making your way down to School and Pig in December too, so we'll forgive them. But I think it's going to be that type of month. We probably see more maybe watching during the midweek. When it comes to the weekend in December, everyone pretty much be out enjoying it, and I hope everyone that is out stay safe and have a great Christmas. Because you know what, we're enjoying the football, and I'm sure we're going to enjoy our beers when we get out too. So, if you're new around here, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more content. We're going to be back on Monday reviewing all these games and looking ahead to Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday's midweek action. So, as again, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more content. Oh, and thanks very much. Enjoy the football this weekend, and let's pray for a Spurs 1 in Manchester on Sunday.
100%.